Today we're learning to turn a chicken into a crab. I'm just kidding. We're learning to cut up a chicken. Have you ever watched Jacques Pepin do it? It's like watching Yo-Yo Ma play the cello. It's just awe-inspiring. But then you get into the kitchen and that's when you find out that it's not as easy as Jacques Pepin made it look. That's why I'm starting a series on working with the whole bird for an average home cook. In this video, we'll break down our bird and salt it. In the next one, we'll make an incredibly tender and juicy chicken breast roast. And in the last one, we'll learn to make chicken stock and the ultimate chicken noodle soup. If you are a squeamish person, please don't torture yourself or the bird and just buy parts. There is no law that says thou shalt cut up your own chicken. But if you can deal with a little blood, joints and bones, there are many reasons to buy a whole chicken, even if what you want to cook are parts. First of all, you get full control of how exactly you cut it up. My favorite cut is a full breast roast. It's very hard to find in the stores, but if I buy a whole chicken, I can make one myself in 5 minutes. Second of all, it's a lot cheaper. Anytime you're buying parts, you're paying a premium. Third of all, you get the chicken back. It's perfect for chicken stock, but very few stores carry it separately. Buying a tasty chicken is not the same as buying a happy chicken. I have a whole video on it linked below. Words like local, pasture-raised, free-range, organic, etc. have nothing to do with how good your chicken will taste. Try different brands till you find the one that you like. Out of the options available in my area, I like Bell & Evans air-chilled conventional chicken, not organic, and that's what I have here today. Washing the chicken is a huge waste of paper towels. It doesn't kill bacteria or make your chicken safer in any way, but it does make the chicken wet. Wet is bad because it prevents browning. Chickens are normally sold somewhat wet, especially if they're vacuum sealed, so let's not make it worse by washing them. Working with a wet chicken is extremely uncomfortable because it's slippery, so even if you plan to use it for stock, I still suggest that you dry your chicken thoroughly inside and out before cutting it up. You can break down the chicken with a chef's knife or a boning knife. The only task where the boning knife would be superior is deboning the breasts. But I find that the breasts taste so much better on the bone that I don't normally debone them. So I'll use a chef's knife. These huge chunks of fat near the cavity aren't useful, so let's remove them. Our first step is to cut off the legs. What's so great about doing it yourself is that you have control over the skin distribution. Whenever I buy parts, the legs get way more skin than they need, and the breast is half naked. To avoid this wardrobe malfunction, I pinch the skin between the leg and the breast, and then insert my knife on the side of the leg. This gives the breast as much skin as possible. Keep making little incisions through the skin that will start to open up the leg. In the back of the chicken, there is a little nugget of meat called the oyster. I heard many chefs call it the tastiest part of the chicken, and I wanted to go to the leg. Once you slit the skin all the way to the back, crack the leg open to find the joint. There it is. See that white cartilage? This tells me exactly where to cut. My principle of chicken butchery is to never ever cut through bones. It's terrible for your knives and doesn't do your chicken any favors either. There is our oyster. You can leave the legs whole, but I'll be using them for chicken soup, so I want as much cartilage exposed as possible. This gives me faster gelatin release. Right here, between the thigh and the drumstick, is another joint, and I want to expose it. Cut until you get to the joint and check that you are in the right place. When you're cutting between joints, you'll feel absolutely no resistance. If your knife ends up here, just move it over so that you're cutting between the two pieces of cartilage. I want to take off the wings at the elbows. I'll be using them for stock and want as many joints exposed as possible. Stretch it out and cut until you feel resistance. Now that I see where exactly the cartilage is, I can move my knife to the perfect spot. To take off the rest of the wing, start at the back. That's where the joint is, and you want to get there as quickly as possible. Lift the wing and cut underneath it. Be patient and don't make any big gashes until you find the cartilage. There it is. Scoop right under it with your knife and be careful not to cut into the breast. To cut the breast area off, insert your knife from the inside through this flabby area and cut. There are no bones here at all, so this step is easy. Same thing on the other side. Push your knife in till you feel the rib bones and crack the back at that spot. This will give you an opening in the spine and will let you cut through the back with absolutely no resistance. This bottom back area is great for stock. The top back area is something I prefer to leave on the breast roast. This prevents the skin from pulling up during roasting and exposing the breast to direct heat. See how it wraps around the whole chicken? The upper part of the back is great for stock too, so after I cook the breast, I'll freeze all the leftover bones for some future stock. Now let's look under the skin in the thickest part of the breast. You see this lump of fat? If we leave it in place, the skin won't get as crisp, so I like to remove it. The wishbone is up to you. If you leave it in, the skin will stay better attached during roasting, which protects the breast from direct heat. If you remove it, it will be easier to cut the chicken off the bone after it cooks. I found that most of my students struggle with removing the wishbone, so I started leaving it in, and now I kind of prefer it this way. If the breast skin has a thick layer of fat underneath, you can poke the thick areas with the tip of the knife to help render the fat during cooking. Try not to poke the flesh, only the skin. I find that this is only necessary for very thick-skinned chicken. This one really doesn't look that bad to me, so I'm only doing it to show you this idea. As always, the salt I'm using is Diamond Crystal Kosher. Of course, you can use absolutely any salt you want, but keep in mind that different salts have different crystal structure, so the volume of salt that you'll need will be drastically different from one salt to another. For example, 1 teaspoon of table salt equals 1.5 teaspoons of Morton's kosher salt equals 2 teaspoons of Diamond Crystal Kosher salt. It's not like you'll be measuring salt with teaspoons here anyway, so there is a lot of intuition in this step. All you can do is evaluate your final result and adjust on the next chicken. I'm salting this chicken a day before cooking. This should be a familiar concept to most of you for roast chicken, but I'm even doing this for the chicken I plan to use for chicken soup. Salting a chicken a day before simmering it seems ridiculous. The whole reason we are salting ahead is to help the chicken retain moisture as it cooks. When you raise the temperature on a piece of protein, it makes it act like a wet sponge that is wrung out and turned tough and dry. Salt reduces how much water the protein will expel during cooking. But in the case of chicken soup, how is dryness a problem? We're cooking chicken in water to make a stock and then serving it in this stock. Won't it be super moist because it's swimming in water? Not really. I find that wet cooking methods are great at producing soft and shreddable chicken, but they are vicious at extracting the moisture from the chicken. That's the whole idea of stock making. Extracting the juices and aromas from the meat and getting them into the broth. I've always adored chicken broth, but until recently, I hated chicken soup. I thought the chicken just ruined it because it was completely lifeless. This all changed a few months ago because I finally learned to make both the broth and the chicken taste good. There are many tricks that I have up my sleeve to make that happen, but one of them is salting the chicken a day ahead. If you've ever heard of people swearing by kosher chickens and telling you that it makes the best possible soup, that's why it's simply dry brined. For the chicken soup, I don't care about the skin staying perfectly in place. I'll remove it before serving the chicken anyway. So I want to optimize salt penetration into the meat. To do that, I pull the skin back on the drumsticks and the thighs and salt the flesh directly instead of salting the skin and hoping that some salt will make it to the meat. If I was planning to roast or braise the legs to serve with the skin, I wouldn't traumatize them this much and would keep the skin in place. Let's put all these parts into a pot, cover and refrigerate until tomorrow. Now the breast. I prefer to salt the breast under the skin too for better salt penetration. Separating the skin from the flesh also makes the fat in the skin render better and produces thinner skin. It's really not scary. Just go slow and wiggle your fingers in there. The top of the breast is easy. Just pull back the skin and salt. To get the salt further down, open up the skin like a pocket, drop some salt into it, reach in with your finger and rub. Same thing for the thinner parts of the breast. Pull back the skin, salt, and cover it back up. I find that the top of the skin only needs a thin coating of salt. Don't forget to salt the cavity and the back. The more places the salt can penetrate, the better. Set it on a plate and put it in the fridge uncovered, skin side up, for about 8 to 12 hours to dry the skin. Once the skin feels completely dry, cover it loosely and it can stay like this in the fridge for a couple of days. If you let it sit uncovered for too long, the skin might end up too leathery after cooking. In my next video, I'll show you how to produce an insanely juicy and beautifully brown chicken breast roast without setting off your fire alarms. Most roast chicken recipes require high heat and produce a crazy amount of smoke in your oven. Is there a way to solve that problem? Why, yes, there is. So stay tuned, hit the bell button for notifications, and if you are ever in the Boston area, maybe I'll see you in one of my classes.